Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hello and welcome to today's Battle Mech review. Today we're going to be looking at the Ostsol, or as some people call it, the Ostol. There's quite a few people misspelling or missaying this name here, just because it's an odd name to begin with. It was mainly designed by the people at Osman Industries, but nowadays it's mainly known to be produced by the people at Kong or the people at Robinson Battleworks. So it's an odd machine with an odd history, and it does have decent performance, but some people have a bit of a problem with it, and it's not one of the mech that first comes to mind if you're building a force or if you're trying to procure a large number of machines. So let's get into it. Osman Industries on the old Terran continent of Europe was a minor manufacturer during the Star League era, better known for their early production of the Ostwar and more importantly on the Ostrock heavy battle mech. Problem was that Osman was not big enough because it really lacked space. Building battle mech takes a lot of room, and even when you bring in parts from other manufacturers, and Terra in general, and Europe even worse, you don't really have a whole lot of room to begin with, either due to facilities and other factories, or just people living there. The production line on Terra could not even keep up with the demand from the SLDF for the Ostrock, so in the end, they needed a way to be able to expand without investing too much money because they didn't have that much money. Osman's solution was to find a trusted partner to license out their design, which they find with the other SLDF supplier, which was Kong Interstellar, which was on Connaught and better known for the production of some designs like the Black Knight. The profit sharing between the corporation was good enough, and the original Ostrock license was expanded, and the deal was then expanded again to the Ost Scout in 2600, and finally with the Ostsol in 2694. While Kong produced a good chunk of all of those machines, the ever-angry SLDF and Hegemony military snatched up the vast majority of them. There was a massive marketing push for the Ostsol when it originally came out. It was billed as a new pod for a new era, and that was advertised to all the SLDF procurement officers and other Aus military officers if the SLDF wasn't interested. Sharing performance and design aesthetics with the Ostrock, this new pod mech shared a lot of the other Ost design with slow profile, which increased survivability due to how they were built, limited reliance on resupplying, and fairly high speed. It also used a limited amount of advanced material, we'll see more about that in a little bit, which meant it was fairly easy to maintain and supply even on extended missions or on planets that didn't have a massive factory or facilities. Thankfully for Osman and for Kong, the SLDF quite liked the design and bought quite a few of them for their Hussar and Dragoon regiments, which the Ostsol used advanced communication systems in order to serve as a scout commander and cavalry director, which was better than what the Ostrock could do. The Ostsol was viewed as a support machine by the Hegemony war machine, which meant it was generally kept away from the direct front line far more than other mechs. When the easings of the Consul Edict of 2650 came out in 2752, most of the Aus military also started buying Ostsols for their own need, generally in the exact same category as scout commanders, cavalry directors, and the decently capable communication design. Things did not quite end well, however. Both Ostman and Kong got seriously damaged during the MRS Civil War and the following First Succession War, with Ostman basically going bankrupt and being bought out by the old money of Krupp in order to stay in business. Well, kind of. Production of the Ostsol basically stopped, and Kong only built spare parts and repair kits for the design, with the blade of arms being the most commonly sold part because it shared design specs with the other Ost heavies, so it was easy enough to just build those things and have them stuck on Ostsols or Ostrock as needed. It was the Duke of Robinson, James Sandoval, who brought back the Ostsol from the dead, basically, for a new generation in 3064. Massive investments and expansion of the Robinson Standard Battleworks allowed for new production lines to be opened for enhanced Ostsol, which would be used by the Federated Sons and their friends. In response to this, Kong managed to get their own production line for the Ostsol back online a year later in 3065, providing the same kind of equipment, or different types of equipment, but in the same kind of category, to the Free Worlds League and their friends. The original OTL 4D shared a whole bunch of structural and key components with its cousin, the Ostrock. Even though there were some differences between the two, the blat of arms are pretty much the same. The leg assembly is pretty much the same. There's a slight adjustments between the two, but you could pretty much replace one for the other. And another key component is the Vlar 300 engine, which gives this 60-ton machine a top speed of 86 kilometers per hour. It's got 16 heat sinks to stay decently cool while staying at the decent engagement range. You get a standard chassis that is rugged enough and easy to repair, while you have 9 tons of standard plate to cover the body, while you will see quite a few of them being retrofitted with ferrofibrous plates or different types of armor. The basic 4D model has been around for a while, and you'll see all sorts of people mess with it, especially on the armor portion, because you've got a lot of room to play with. Your main guns are a pair of Tronel 3 heavy large lasers, and don't confuse them with heavy large lasers. Those are standard ones. You could probably mount something, and never mind that. They're mounted in the torso assembly, usually right under the armpits. It's a little bit odd how they're set up, but they work fairly well, and they give you a good mid-range firepower when fighting other medium mechs and light mechs, which is what the Ostsol is more meant to fight rather than other heavy mechs. To add to this, each side torso also mounted Tronel 2 medium laser. This is a similar assembly to what you have on the Ostrock, but the Ostrock were using Firestorm models instead of the Tronels. Now for the little bit of an odd bit, the rear center torso mounts a pair of medium laser to dissuade pursuers or something like that. It could be good if you're really using this thing as a command mech and just running away as soon as someone gets close by, but you will see quite a few people just flip those forward, and you will become quite a decent harasser. This wasn't, however, the real original setup. World of Mechs had a original Ostsol that was supposed to be released, but I think Kong and Ostman realized that getting something really top of the line on the field would be too expensive for them and would strain their production capabilities too much. This particular design, which was the OTL 3D, I mean, if it had reached front lines, would probably have been quite a decent machine. The body was made of endo steel with 10 tons of ferrofibrous plates, so that would be very well protected for a heavy mech of the era, of the late Star League era. And you would have 14 double heat sinks to keep its equipment cool, with a pair of PPCs and the forwards-backwards medium lasers still being on there. There were no real production lines for the Ostsol during the Succession War, and there was really only one variant that came out during that time, which kind of mimics that 3D model we just talked about. The OTL-4F started showing up around 2871. It was a pocket warroader, as some people called it, boasting higher speed and PPCs to be able to be delivered where you need them to be delivered. The only guns on this one is the pair of shoulder-mounted Dominion 5 PPCs, meaning you were able to rely on your fisticuffs once something got in close range, but you were able to do decent volley fire with the shooting 2, shooting 1, shooting 2, shooting 1 while running around, with the 16 heat sinks that were built in on there. Kong wasn't ready to bring their factories back to full production at the start of the clan invasion, but they were already producing an upgrade kit for existing Ostsol, ready to be deployed by 3050. The OTL-5M is quite an expensive machine, starting with an Hermes 300 XL engine to replace the Vlar, and 16 double heat sinks in order to keep everything cool. It was meant to be a brawler, so the weapons are replaced with pulse lasers, so you get 2 large pulse lasers, and 2 medium pulse lasers, 2 forward, 2 backwards. To get an increased protection on there, you also have an Elephant Limbblad anti-missile system, rather than extra armor, which can be useful, especially on a command-type mech like this one, but the weapon setup on it means that it's supposed to be a brawler rather than a command and communication mech, so it's a little bit odd. Robinson Standard Battleworks wanted a top-tier Ostsol in production, and with the OTL 6D from 3064, they got what they asked for. It uses the same Hermes 300 XL engine that you add on the 5M, but this one is also tied to strands of triple strength myomer to give you extra speed when you run out, and like most Ostsol, you would probably will. And you're protected by 11.5 tons of ferrofibrous plates, which is quite decent, but I mean, you're a heavy mech, you're gonna take a whole lot of damage. It's always a bit of a trade here to put an XL engine on a mech that size. You get 14 heat sinks to manage your heat load and a targeting computer to improve accuracy on all your direct fire weapons. Each side torso mounts an ER large laser and an ER medium laser, which is pretty darn good. It's going to give you very decent range, but you're going to run fairly hot even with 14 double heat sinks. The triple strength myomer is going to be able to be activated. You'll be a little bit faster. It's all a bit of a trade. You also have a medium pulse laser mounted in the head and on the right side to give you even more punch. You also have a pair of small pulse lasers which can be used to take care of infantry on top of everything, meaning that this particular model of the Ostsol is probably the most polyvalent of the bunch. Robinson also wanted to make an export model which came through with the OTL 5D. This one's a little bit weird. It uses basic materials, except for the occasional one which ships with double heatsink, because that's just what a VLAR 300 came with in those days. Armor is replaced with 8.5 tons of ferrofibrous plate, once again fairly straightforward and fairly common in these days. And the rear firing lasers are taken out from your original OTL 4D. The rest of the weapons are pretty much the same, 2 large lasers, 2 medium lasers, and what you do is strap 510 tubes of rocket launchers spread throughout the center torso and side torsos to give you a nice one-time punch, and probably allow you to sell it to a bunch of people in the periphery. Robinson Standard Battleworks was building new Ostsol while the official licensor of the design was not, so Kong got kind of mad and released the OTL 7M in 3065. This one is quite odd for an Ostsol because the main guns are replaced with a pair of shoulder-mounted light Gauss rifles protected by case, fed by 2 tons of reloads, which is more than enough on that type of gun. To back this up, you get 4 ER medium lasers, which is quite decent, but you're going to run quite hot because 10 double heat sinks, well, that's not quite enough to cool 4 ER medium lasers. Those run a little bit too hot for that. You get 10.5 tons of plates to protect an Hermes 300 XL engine. So you've got a lot of security with the range of the light Gauss rifle and the speed, but I mean, it's an XL engine. You've got extra plates. It's kind of a little bit weird here, but I do like how it works, and I've used a few over the years in formations that I've commanded, and I liked this particular design. A common swap that I do see is replacing 2 of the ER medium lasers with 2 standards, which will give you better cooling in the long run, and it's not that difficult to do, but it's not a standard field refit. It's something that I've seen a lot of people do, but again, not something that they do out of the factory. As I said here, the 7M was quite popular, but people still wanted all-energy Ostsol because that's what they were meant to be, and people liked the brawling capability that this brought them and the raiding capabilities this add without having to work with having to stay close to supply lines. In 3066, Kong released also the OTL 8M, which fit that bill a little bit better. The engine is bigger. It's a 360 XL, tried to triple strength myomer, so you're starting to invest quite a bit in the mobility of the design, and it gives you a technical top speed of about 119 kilometers per hour when you're running a little bit hot. You get 11 tons of plate protecting an endo steel chassis, so you're starting to be a little bit compacted in there. The right torso mounts a big PPC, while the left torso mounts a large pulse laser. It's not the same gun on both sides, but it gives you better engagement range and a better close-range punch, depending on where you are on the battlefield. You get 3 medium pulse lasers at closer engagement, while the center torso also mounts an ER medium laser and a point defense ER small laser. A lot of different lasers allow you to control the heat on the design and always keep your triple strength myomer active if needs be. So you had a 7M design that was quite popular because it used ballistics equipment rather than energy. Robinson wanted a piece of that pie, but they couldn't manufacture those light Gauss rifle as easily in 3069. What they did have, though, was light AC5s. Using a light 300 engine rather than an XL to increase survivability. You had 10.5 tons of heavy ferrofibrous plates to even increase survivability more. And they built the new 8D with a light AC5 in each shoulder, fed by 4 tons of case-protected ammo. This does allow you to bring a whole lot of specialty ammo to the field, which is what light autocannon really specialize in. You have 2 ER medium lasers to provide backup on the front as well, and a light PPC in the belly button because, well, that's where they could stick it. All this is guided by a targeting computer, meaning that it's decently accurate, so it's survivable, accurate, at medium range, because light autocannons don't shoot as far as you would sometimes want. You've got decent range on that light PPC. ER medium lasers provide good backup. It's entirely sensible as a design. Kong kept on trucking even during the Jihad as their facilities were damaged by jihadis, but they still released the OTL-9R in 3077. This one's really weird. It uses a tiny 180 engine tied to an heavy-duty gyro with triple strength myomer, so it cruises at around 54 kilometers per hour with a potential top speed of 64 kilometers per hour when it runs hot. Get 12 tons of standard plates to protect the body, so that works okay. You've got a targeting computer tied it to a C3 slave unit, which was quite popular at the time, and you've got 14 double heat sinks to keep the many weapons on the design decently cool. You get a heavy PPC on the left side, while the right side mounts a snub-nose PPC, and the center torso as a belly button large laser. To finish things off, you've got an ER medium laser, an ER small laser, and a regular small laser to round all of that together. The reason you've got so many lasers, once again, is so you can manage your eat and keep the triple strength myomer active. I'm not always a fan of that particular kind of design and mentality, especially in a mech like this. But this is basically what Kong was able to build with the parts that they had, and it worked well enough that a few of those are still in service. Even there, people were not super impressed by this, and in 3079, Kong did put out the OTL-9M to compensate. The engine is now that big 360 XL and now tied to a mask, giving you bursts of speed of 130 kilometers per hour in short durations. The body is made of endo steel, and you got 10 tons of ferrofibrous plates, giving you decent protection, and you got a Guardian ECM system in the center line to block enemy C3 computers. Like we said, there were quite a few at the time. Get 2 ER medium lasers to provide mid-range engagement weapons, while you have an ER large laser giving you some sniping capabilities, and opposite of this, you get a snub-nose PPC for very good mid-range punch. A quite sensible design, and the fact that it's quite speedy makes it a very good harasser and raider. The next model came from Robinson Battleworks once again in 3144, and it was originally leaked through Battle Lightnings like many Davion machine of the time. You go back to the standard Hermes 300 XL with this new 8E capitalizing on the X-Pulse technology, which is now openly available. It has 17 double heat sinks, which is not quite enough to compensate for X-Pulse, which generate tons of heat. Each side torso has a large X-Pulse laser and a medium X-Pulse laser, giving you very good range compared to regular pulse lasers. But like I said, they run quite hot, and with the clan pulse lasers being quite easy to get nowadays, not always the best thing to use. The rear is protected by 2 ER small lasers, which is generally enough. After the factories were retaken by the AFFS, Robinson started building another model, the 8E3, which adds triple strength myomer to the mix, meaning that you running hot is now sometimes a good thing. With Aus Kurita holding Robinson Battleworks for a little bit, they introduced their own standard with the OTL-8F. A very Kuritan take, this one mounts a pair of Lord's Light ER PPC in each side torso and an ER medium laser in each side torso. You get a pair of rear-facing ER medium lasers as well. So it's closer to your original, true original, if we look at the 3D model of the Ostsol. You get spikes of heat on there, though, because ER PPCs are not easy to shoot, so it's compensated by 18 double heat sinks. It uses your same assembly as the 8E for the engine, an Hermes 300 XL tied to an unarmored compact engine, while you have 11 tons of ferrofibrous plates to protect the whole thing. I do quite like this one, but it's not a thing that's going to be super common because I think RBS is really working on making those 8E3s right now instead. For some reason, Clan Seafox did decide to get on the Ostsol game in the late 3140s. Surprisingly simple, this one uses a Vlar 300, so no XL, no light, no nothing fancy, with 15 good double heat sinks. You get 9 tons of laser reflective compound plates to protect it, which is a little bit weird, but it'll work quite well as long as you keep it out of punching range, basically. Each side torso mounts a clan-graded ER large laser and an improved heavy medium laser, while the rear is protected by 2 ER medium lasers. With all of those lasers, well, they decided to guide all of those with a targeting computer, making it super accurate and decent enough at a variety of ranges. Our local Seafox entrepreneur and supplier Andrew Young also decided that an idea of the Ostsol C was quite good and decided to start providing upgrade kits to various powers in the Rimworld's alliance for it. It uses the Endosteel chassis from various Robinson and Kong Ostsol, so it's basically your original Ostsol with the fancier chassis, combined with the base idea of that Ostsol C. The saved weight from the Endosteel chassis goes to add an ECM suite and 2 more tons of plates, generally that laser reflective compound, but we've seen it with other types of armor depending on what is being shipped. For weapons, all the medium lasers are ER versions because that's what Young Industries build around here, and that pair of ER large laser, all guided by that targeting computer, so it's more or less the same kind of firepower, but with more range. Improved heavy medium lasers are quite good, but they don't have the range you expect from most clan weapons. It is quite insane just how many options there are for Ostsol. It was somewhat rare during the Succession War, but after 2 competing companies decided to keep it in production and in the field, we keep seeing more and more and more of them. Adding to this that the Clan Seafox is now building more on their own, well, maybe we'll start seeing them just about everywhere in the near future. In the Reborn Free Worlds League military, Kong is getting multiple contracts for production, while Robinson Standard Battleworks is working overtime to produce battle mech for the AFFS in their fight against the Combine. And who knows, I mean, the Combine has their own design. Maybe they've shipped back the specs to Lucian Armor Works, and we'll start seeing some coming out from there. I'm pretty sure we'll keep seeing these guys out for a while, and hopefully we see new cool variants in the future. So I thank you very much for listening to me for so long. I hope you guys have a nice rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.